Hello everybody, welcome to another Who Week video. This month is a video which is a compilation of a number of videos. It's relating to the first impressions reviews I did in relation to Series 10 of Doctor Who being out. They have been viewed on the Stantober channel, but this is the first time they will get an airing on the Deanstructor channel. It's the episode 6, which is Extremis, all the way through to episode 12, which is The Doctor Falls. I hope you enjoy them. Tell me what you think of my reviews. Are they right? Are they wrong? Comment below. Only the second penned Stephen Moffat story of this season, and it seems to be the trend of a very strong first parter from Stephen Moffat. I did like the story. I think the idea of a document that tells your existence is a very interesting idea. Nice little twist at the end, and they did try and get the Doctor to regain his sight through another means apart from regeneration, but I have a funny feeling that's going to be how it's working anyway. And we finally found out who's in the vault, which most people seem to have guessed, and also the reason why. Interesting death scenes, I suppose is the way we can call it. But yes, I did enjoy the episode very much. Michelle Gomez is welcome back as Missy. Very light performance. There's not much she really said in there, but you could still tell it's Missy. Matt Lucas was great. I love the fact that he's the only one allowed to kick the Doctors. And I'll say the other bit very politely, because this may go up on the Deanstructor channel eventually, so I don't want to swear. Pearl Mackew's great as Bill, the character. I'm just loving the character at the moment, and the whole joke about the Pope coming in as she's starting to chat up Penny, and the whole fact of that was quite funny. Peter Capaldi's brilliant as Doctor as always, and he's really nailing it now, and I really love the context of the fact he's blind, and he is blind to other things as well. He's really struggling a little bit to learn, and he needs to lean on Nardole quite a bit for it to work. But I did enjoy the episode. I'm looking forward to next week seeing what happens in the real world, and we'll see how the Doctor gets out of this scrape. But it looks like Missy is going to be involved quite substantially, although she should be in the vault for another 20 odd years, 20, nearly 30 years. That's how long she should be in the vault for, but it looks like she'll be out there beforehand. What did I think of it? Well, actually, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. The plot's an interesting one. The fact that aliens are taking over the world by consent and not taking over the world by fear. It's a trope that isn't really used that much in Doctor Who. It is a sci-fi trope. I've seen it before. Stargate's one of the situations I've seen that before in a kind of future world story that they had, where an alien race is found through the Stargate and they consent to help defeat the Goa'uld and then slowly kill them that way. Whether that's the way the aliens are going to work, I don't know. Yes, I like the concept, I like the idea, and I enjoyed the story. I think the idea of, the sidetrack of thinking, oh, it's the end of the world through the military, and it wasn't. It was something very simple. A very simple mistake that could cause catastrophe. It's quite a parallel at this day and age, especially with some of the stuff that's happening just now. Somebody quoted to me that it seems to be being written with a very left-leaning stance. I think that friend of mine is actually still hitting on the head. Certainly seems to be the case at the moment. But yes, I did enjoy that story. I'm looking forward to the third part of next week. Missy's back. Nardole looks like he's missing. Is he alive or is he dead in the TARDIS? We don't know. And of course the Doctor seems to have turned, but there must be a plan in place. And he got his sight back, and not the way I expected. But there has been repercussions for him getting his sight back, and we knew that was going to happen. Just maybe not with him putting his hands out in the air with the yellow light. It was an okay episode. I think the three-part experiment maybe didn't work as well as it could have. There's a lot of padding in this episode.
The premise of the way of fixing it could have been done in a 25-minute episode in the classic series. There's a lot of padding in there about what they do, how they get there, the fighting with the monks to get to the room, and the only good bit of padding that we had was the bit with Bill trying to psych out the Doctor and the fake regeneration, which makes me think that this Doctor, or the Doctor, has now managed to master regeneration a little bit more, so maybe he'll be able to regenerate to somebody he wants to regenerate to this time, because the Doctor traditionally didn't have any control over it, but maybe the Time Lord's cycle that they've given him this time round gives him a bit more control, because that's the second time we've seen the Doctor use regeneration energy to at will. He did it with Davros for the story of the season opener in season 9, The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar, and then this year we've got it in this episode where he fakes the regeneration just a little bit. So that's what the tease was all about. One big plot hole I think is slightly odd. The Doctor is supposed to have had his sight restored by the monks. If he's had his sight restored for the monks and the monks disappear, why has he still got his sight? I think that's a little complex. But the story itself, it ties up the loose ends. I think it could have been done in 2 parts, not 3. Because last week there was about half of the episode that was padding. This week is about half the episode that's padding. So it could have been done as 2. Certainly a better ending than possibly Stephen Moffat could have written, because Toby Whithouse wrote it, so it's not been too bad in that respect. But let's hope we're starting again with the Empress and Mars next week, and hopefully we start a nice wee run to finish the series. 4 to go, just like these videos. The second Ice Warrior story of the revived series, the second Ice Warrior story of this decade. Mark Gatiss writing an Ice Warrior story once again, and this one is an interesting little sci-fi trope. Again, Victorians on Mars. Quite a good premise. I quite like the story. I think it was quite an interesting way of presenting, a kind of explorer story, which is something different. Characterization of the Queen was very good, and I really did enjoy the story as well. It's a lot better than last week. I'm certainly happier. It's a good romp. It stands up a couple of viewings, but it's probably not classic Who, but a nice couple of little touches and links there. They link into the fact that the Ice Warriors become part of the Federation, which is referenced in the Peladon stories of the Third Doctor era, and they had Yasan Churchman come back and voice Alpha Centauri, and she that actress is now 92 years old, so maybe the last time that she voices the voice, but it's nice to have that little link and little cameo through it all. And I really did think that this story was a lot better than last week's. Let's hope the next one is just as good, and the season is starting to pick up again. So, The Eaters of Light by Rona Munro. The first episode that she has written for the series in nearly 30 years. She was the last person credited as writing a classic series story based on transmission order. And a good turn to form. Some of the themes are linked in between the two stories. Young people feature prominently, because you've got the Romans and the Celts who actually are very young in their age. But the story itself, a monster that's been released through kind of childish stupidity, I think is a polite way of putting it, for the Celt gatekeeper, to try and because of fear, because of being scared, and fear is the main driving force of the whole story. The fear of the Romans to face the monster, the fear of the Celts to face the Romans, and then obviously face the deeds that have happened. And I did really like the narrative and the story, and I like the fact that there's a lot of social interaction in there, and it's very, very much a continuation, really, of the kind of emotional side of Doctor Who that's came back since the TV series. And It's really good to have a script back from somebody who wrote for Doctor Who previously in a previous era as such, and it's nice to have that story. Peter Capaldi is great in here. He really is coming across. He's got his grouchy self there, but it's grouchy for the reason of trying to get them to work together and actually fix the problems themselves. The kind of self-sacrifice thing, the Doctor trying to self-sacrifice, yeah, I don't know whether that was deliberate or whether he was wanting actually them to take part. I think it was wanting to sacrifice himself. I don't know why, but he was. Bill was great. Pearl Mackie had a great episode there, and I like the TARDIS translation jokes as well, because obviously we know that the TARDIS translates for them, but it made it a little bit more specific this time round, because they lip sync as well. It's not just a straight translation. They actually see the words as they would have been spoken, which is really quite intriguing, really quite interesting. Overall, yeah, it's like last week. It's a good start. It's a good story again after the 3-week mid-season boringness, I think the polite way of putting it is called. Next week's going to be exciting. The Master, John Simm's Master, returns, and the Mondasian Cybermen. I really am looking forward to that, and it's a good 2-part finale for the end of the series. Can't believe it's 10 weeks down. 10 of these first impressions, 2 more to go.
World Enough in Time. What can I say about this? Not a lot, I'm coughing. Interesting concept, the fact that you've got a black hole, 400-mile long ship, and you can have a different time zone at the edge of the black hole than you can at the bottom. Interesting concept and idea. This really is Genesis of the Cybermen, the proper version, not the new series parallel universe version. This is the proper Genesis of the Cybermen that we would have seen, or should have seen, 50 odd years ago. Really like the premise of the story. Bit light and patchy in some places. Rachel Talleli's direction is great as always. She seems to be very good at directing Cybermen and their characterizations. Although obviously you only see a little bit of them in their full element. It's really disturbing the scene where Bill's in the hospital ward and they've got the poor man going pain, and the fact they've got that little serum that turns them, makes them a bit more what do we call it? Turns it to make it, make them feel less. Well, turn off their pain receptors. Obviously they're still feeling by the scene at that point. And the effect, they're quite gruesome, of her being shot through by the laser gun, the big hole in the middle of her. That's really quite gruesome, quite creepy. It's not for the faint-hearted, this one. If you scare easily, this one is probably not suitable for most. It's probably just on the borderline of what kids could actually get away with watching as well. It's proper Scary Who in that respect. All the main actors are great. John Slim's back is disguised as Mr. Razor, so the Master being in disguise is back again, which is brilliant, because that's a trait of the Master that you haven't really seen in the new series, of him being an actual character under a lot of mask or rubber or whatever, because that's what the Master used to do. And then you've got Michelle Gomez as Missy. Very good. You can see she's kind of on a point of saying, I want to be good, but I'm trying, but it's very difficult. I'm so used to being a nasty person. Peter Capaldi's brilliant. The opening scene, obviously that is a precursor to the end of the episode, not the beginning, so that's really cool. I really like that. His performance is great anyway. I think it's really one of the better performances that the Doctor's done this season. Bit my rapper's just blown away. And then you've got Matt Lucas, great as Nardo, very solid as always, and Bill Potts, Pearl Mackie. Yeah, it's great to see her from her eyes, how it works and how it goes through, and her the way she does things. It's brilliant, and I do like that character come back on form again with the character again, and the way she's been used as the eye of the world of this whole scene and the way it all works. And I did enjoy it. I'm looking forward to next week, so how the finale is. I think it's going to be lots of explosions, lots of bangs, and maybe a couple of expositions. But we will see what happens. We know that potentially we have the regeneration starting at the end of the next episode, so that will be fun to see.
"60 minutes of brilliant television. Plot-wise, it's quite weak, but in regards to the story itself, it's very emotional. I'm tired, by the way. Emotional story scene with Bill and the Doctor and their discussion about the fact it seems to be pointless, and the Masters, this conversation with the Masters, and it was quite cool the fact they stabbed each other in the back, and the whole story about him not winning, and then the situation with Heather coming back for Bill. Thought it was quite poignant. And of course, the surprise ending. The first Doctor's back, although in the David Bradley form that we saw in Adventures in Space and Time, except this time looks like he is actually playing the Doctor. It sounds really cool. It sounds really good. But yeah, no, I really think this episode was a great finish to the series. I'm looking forward to Christmas now. And the one thing I've noticed, I've mentioned this in a couple of the other videos for this series I've been doing the first impressions, that the Doctor seems to have a bit of control over his regeneration. He seems to have a lot more control over it, and he seems to be doing it again. Here, he's forcing not to change, and it seems to be a big control he has. A couple of times it's kind of let go, and he's kind of forced himself not to change. But Christmas Story looks very much like it's near the time the first Doctor gets to change, or changes to his second incarnation, and we'll be able to see the difference, because there is a parallel there. Capaldi's Doctor is the first Doctor of a new cycle. Obviously, the first Doctor was the first Doctor of the original cycle. So there's kind of like the fact of, do they want to change? Do they really want to change? Do they want to do that? There's going to be that parallel there. So it'll be interesting to see how that story goes at Christmas. And I'm looking forward to that immensely. That's it. First impressions for Series 10 of Doctor Who are over. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen over the past 12 weeks. If you want to watch the others, don't forget to click on the playlist and watch all 11 others that are in the playlist. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe for more. Who Week is every third Sunday of the month, so don't forget to come back for that. If you have a suggestion of what you would like me to do for Who Week, leave a comment below.